Hello and welcome. This is On Screen, Off Screen. Let's go ahead and get started with you, Conlon. I think you have a few more topics than me this week. What do you
All
got for us?
right. I'll bounce through two of them first. The first one is Reacher. The season is just better than season two. You should watch it. It's good. This episode, you get introduced to a young cadet who is very, very bright and gets assigned to Reacher to figure out some undercover stuff that's going on with a lot of money and a lot of corruption. And the cadet discovers a lot of the corruption, digs it out, figures out ways for them to dig out more. She's kind of the head person on this. And at the end of the episode, you find out that the cadet has been found by our main bad guy and has been killed. And killed like viciously, absolutely disgusting, bad. Um, and it makes you really hate this bad guy and makes you understand why he's going to such lengths to complete the mission that he's on for season 3. It makes you empathize with Reacher in a very good way. It's good writing, and it's a good way of developing a villain too. Um, I think this season is a massive step up from season 2, and definitely worth giving a shot, man.
So, have they developed the villain so that you understand what their motivations are?
Um, yes, I think they could do a little bit more for that, but this episode does do that.
Okay. And
It's
has season 3 been more of a direct approach from the books, or is it still along the terms of season 2?
No, it feels more like season 1. It has more of a season 1 feeling, for sure.
Okay. So, let me clarify that a little bit. So in the Jack Reacher novels, each
Yeah,
book is basically standalone and it doesn't really build off of any previous story.
I see what you're saying.
Basically, Jack Reacher comes into X place. He's unknown. He has his history that's pretty well established between the books, but there's no real direct correlation between the two books.
So
But
far, there
in
has been. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, but from season 1 to season 2, it was more of a direct correlation. They basically directly said Jack Reacher went from this location to this location and was known, so that's why it didn't really feel like the books.
This one feels more separate. It has one scene with the girl that's in season 1 and season 2. The person that worked with him on that task force. I can't remember her name, but she's in it for 30 seconds maybe. Other than that, everybody is completely separate in this book, and the only major connection is the squad that they all worked on that season 2 focused on a lot. This episode, they go back to that time where they're at that squad and they're doing a separate mission, and this cadet that dies is included in that mission. But that's about it. It's very, very loosely connected
Okay,
overall.
good. I think that's the right choice.
I think so too. He's the type of character that works well for,
Yeah.
I think, and it makes every season feel a little bit more fresh and like you can invest into it. Um, yeah, I oh, it's good. It's good. And then the other show that I was going to talk about with my double is Invincible. And have you seen this episode?
I still have the last 3 episodes.
Okay, this episode is really, really good. To me, I felt like filler a little bit. It's more the villain of the week. It felt more old Justice League or old Batman, where you're dealing with that one episode with the villain that's of that episode. But the villain this time, when Mark gets in the fight with his dad in season 1, the villain's sister and her child die in the collision, die while they're fighting. And he gets angrier and angrier and angrier. And he's asking, why does Invincible get to live? Why does Invincible stay out of prison? Why does Invincible get all of this when my sister is dead? And so his wife, who also loved his sister, works for the federal government, and they're working on ways to be able to fight Viltrumites. They steal some of this equipment and they hook it up to our main villain. The villain gets electro type powers and becomes kind of an electro pseudo villain who has this. He doesn't want to hurt anybody. He doesn't want to cause any kind of damage. He just wants Invincible to answer for his crimes. He has this unique ability where if he gets hit, it actually like charges his batteries, which was kind of cool. I liked that aspect of the villain. So they play with that in really interesting ways, including Invincible hitting him, and that charges him again and again and again. And the ending of the episode is a chance for this villain to forgive Invincible, who is pleading, like, please, please let us go. He's got his wife and child there to trick Invincible to show up. And he's like, stop this. We don't need this to happen. Stop this. And the villain just keeps going. There's consequences to that choice. Invincible is dealing with this problem of, well, I did kill the wife and daughter, kind of. I mean, I was fighting to protect the world from my dad, but I ran through the building. I smashed them. Isn't that part of my problem? Um, he's dealing with the fact that if this guy kills anybody, is this on me too? I'm the one who drove him to this madness. And I honestly don't think anything this villain does is Invincible's problem. I don't think Joker killing people is Batman's problem. I think that's on Joker. I think this Electro type character is responsible for any killings that he does, including a really big killing at the end of the episode that I don't really want to spoil. I I think this season is fantastic, and I thought this episode, for being a filler episode, was an utterly great filler episode.
Well, good. Well, I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Where does the level of responsibility lie for Invincible?
I've wondered that. I don't know.
Because there is
Because
an argument to be made he wouldn't have done that unless Invincible did that, right?
yeah.
So what level of responsibility? You said you don't think it's his. So probably less than 50% responsible, but more than 0% responsible, right?
It is more than 0% responsible because you were in part of the actions. I don't know. It's a weight that I don't think Invincible should even have to worry about carrying. He should do the best he can to
What about
explain
you
that.
and I in everyday life, though? What about us as regular people, right? Because that's a very common thing, right?
Yeah,
Like, I did something that hurt so and so's feelings. They did something in retaliation or because their feelings were hurt because of that. My responsibility to what they did is not zero. It's also not 100, right? So where's the responsibility lie there?
I think it's doing the best that you can. When I was in high school, I was kind of a player and I didn't treat girls very good. And some of those girls have withdrawn from other guys because I was not a good guy. And that's hurt the guys along the road. And I've dealt with this inner guilt for a long time of all the damage that I did that I really can't undo. I don't have any way to undo it, but I can say that I'm sorry. I can change. I can be somebody different. I can move forward. But carrying that weight and keeping going with that weight doesn't help anybody. So you learn from the lessons, you try to be better. And as long as you're actually doing different actions, I think that's all the responsibility that you can take as an individual. I don't think you can do anything more.
Okay.
I think Invincible is doing what he can. And one of the interesting aspects of this episode is the brother is asking, will they ever forgive dad? Will they ever see him as a good guy? I can remember all of these things, and he loved my mom, and my mom was awesome. So he must not be completely bad, right? And Invincible is having to deal with this fact of a dad who he sees in two different lights and doesn't know which light is the correct light. And he wants his dad to be what he remembers as a kid, but he also has this memory of his dad holding his face while he's going through a train. And how do you deal with the dichotomy of those two different situations? And I think carrying any extra weight when you are doing everything you possibly can just weighs you down and keeps you from being the best person you can be.
It's fair. It's understandable. Um,
What do you
I
think? I'm
side
curious about your answer with that.
I side more on the you bear responsibility for what you did to them and the way that it made them feel. Uh, so in Invincible's situation, he absolutely bears full responsibility for the fact that he killed somebody and that it hurt somebody else. Um, but he bears no responsibility for how someone reacted to that. Right. So going
Fair
back
enough.
to I don't even remember what it's from, but some inspirational talk or whatever, right? Talking
Mhm.
about the difference between heroes and villains is what they do with the hard times that came before them. Because very often there's a dichotomy between the the superhero's path and the villain's path, and very often the same thing happened to each of them.
Mhm.
The only difference is what they decided to do with that pain versus taking it out on others. So uh, that's where I draw the line. Is like Invincible bears responsibility that what he did hurt somebody, but he doesn't bear responsibility for what that person does with that pain because what they do with their feelings, like feelings can be very reactionary, very like can't really control how you feel sometimes,
That's true.
right? So what you do affects somebody else, and if it hurts somebody else's feelings, you're responsible that you hurt somebody else's feelings. But
But
how
what does
they
being
handled their
responsible
feelings
mean? Does
and
it just
what they
mean you apologize? Does that mean you change? Does
accountability.
that what does that what does being responsible mean? Because for example, like Invincible himself goes and decides to smash somebody's head, or he's fighting somebody and somebody's head just happens to get smashed. Both instances, he killed somebody, but there's a different level of responsibility in my
Yeah,
head.
absolutely. Like intentionally killing somebody is murder.
Yeah,
Unintentionally is called involuntary manslaughter for a reason. There's a
yeah, different
different
things.
level of responsibility there. There's a different level of accountability there, but there's still accountability and there's still responsibility either way. Right.
So, so do you think that in this theoretical situation, does Invincible should Invincible serve jail time because he did all this? I mean, he was serving the greater good. He was stopping the world from literally ceasing to be and becoming a slave state. But like, what did he not pay enough of a consequence? Like, what do you think?
I mean, that's a hard thing to do. Uh, when you're talking about the greater good or in service, right? The soldiers, United States soldiers, they go out there and they kill people and they fight, and sometimes they make the wrong decision and they kill the wrong person.
Yeah.
And that's a very serious thing. Do I think that they deserve to go to jail because of the circumstance that they're in and the situation that they're in? No. But their responsibility does belong to them. They they absolutely took a life.
Let's
They
actually connect
do.
this
They
to
should try and learn from the mistake. Take accountability for it. Try and learn from it.
let's connect this to a different show. The other one that I've been watching, the This Is Us, where the brother kills that little kid. Should you think he should have gone to jail for that?
I don't remember,
Oh,
honestly.
where
Like I
you
don't
don't.
remember him killing a little kid.
There's the grenade that gets pulled on the boat, and the little kid gets blown up. You remember
Oh,
that?
yes.
Yeah, complete
Yeah.
accident, 100% accident.
Yep.
But he's also stupid to bring grenades out with a little kid on a
Hmm.
boat.
Yep. He should be charged for involuntary manslaughter.
Okay.
right? Don't do stupid things in stupid places with stupid people. Kids are stupid. Grenades are a stupid thing.
Yeah.
He's combining two of the mantras of being safe, right? Like, I understand he's somebody who's dealing with PTSD and has a lot going on in their lives, but, right? His circumstance is safe in that situation. He's not in a war zone. So
No, he's not.
if I took my nieces and nephews out with dynamite to do dynamite fishing and would blow up and I kill, like, should I be charged for involuntary manslaughter? Absolutely yes. Right? So, yeah, like he's responsible for that entire scenario. He bears responsibility for it.
Okay.
Do I think it
Interesting.
should be he should be charged with murder and go away for life? No. But involuntary, absolutely.
Yeah. It brings up interesting questions with military and with superheroes in general on just because, especially where it's someone who's needed. Invincible at this point in the story is basically their only protection against an outside force that would absolutely destroy them, and they couldn't touch them. They couldn't do anything about it at all. So he
But like,
becomes invincible. He becomes untouchable, and the
could
only
he have
person
done
that can
something
really
better? Could he have avoided taking that life?
not in this case, I don't think so. It's they
I
get
think
crashed
so.
through a building and he's fighting the dad, and at that point he is just not as strong as the dad, and he's doing everything he can to hold on. He just gets directed where the dad directs him to go. And that could say, is it the dad's responsibility or is it really his? Because the dad throws him through a building.
Then it's the dad's responsibility, not Invincible's.
I mean, they crash and they because with their colliding, they collide through a building is more what it is. But they're both going through this building.
Okay. So could have Invincible taken the fight somewhere else? Or was he
In the
overcome with
fight at the end
emotion?
of season
Did
one, he
he?
was literally just trying to survive. So I don't really think so.
I think he could have. He can fly. He can go up into space. And in that
That
situation, at the end of season one, he is being chased, which means he could have just gone to space,
he could have just gone up higher.
right?
It's possible. It's
He could have
possible. I
drawn the fight to somewhere else, but he was emotional and engaged. So he owns responsibility for the carnage that happened. Now, when the dad finally beats him and he's forcing his
his
son's head
face through
through
the
the
train.
train, right? He can't do anything at that point. He's utterly defeated and is in no longer any control, right?
Mhm.
He doesn't respond. He doesn't bear any responsibility for those actions because
Because they were
he's
forced on
not
him.
in control. It was forced on him. That's how I view it, at least.
I don't know if he could have gotten away. I think he was so outmatched that he just had to react, and that's all I could do is react. But
Gotten
we don't
away?
know.
No, but moved the fight somewhere more safe, like outer space? Yes. Right? His dad can fly faster than him. I'm not saying
Yeah,
he could have avoided this
stronger
fight.
is bigger in every
Stronger,
single way.
bigger, more experienced, all of the things. Yes,
Yes,
absolutely. But do I think he could have flown up instead of into his dad? Yeah.
that's got some possibility to it. It's
But
got some possibility to it. Anyway, those were 2 episodes this week. What is your first topic, man?
all right. So the first thing I want to talk about, we got a couple of comments on videos last week.
Sweet.
So the first one is for you. It is from
Okay.
Lauren. What do you have against cows, Conlon? Lol, country people are good people equals bless their heart.
Country people are good people. They are, absolutely. They also they live smaller and they 100% do the like nerds have this thing where they attack jocks because they outcast the nerds. And cowboys do the exact same thing. And they're so damn proud of the fact that they have cows and goats and chickens and that they drive a tractor and have a gun. And they grow up to be wonderful, wonderful people who work extremely hard day in and day out. If a lot of the people that I knew from the country, if they would put their work ethic into a boat like tech or something that paid them more money, they would all be multi millionaires because they work so freaking hard and they get more humble. But when they are younger, they're arrogant as all hell. So damned arrogant. And they do the outcasting thing. I so I played football when I was younger. I swam. I did all of that. So I have kind of the athletic jock thing. I did some of the nerdy stuff. So I kind of the nerdy stuff. I did some of the cowboy stuff. So I kind of the cowboy stuff. But I was never one group. And so I saw how people who weren't part of that one group were ostracized. And I see that a lot with farmer country style people. Along with that, you have just some obsessions that I don't really love obsessions. I've never loved obsessions. And cowgirls are absolutely freaking obsessed with horses. All they talk about all the damn time is horses, constantly. That's not like you love horses. That's fine. It's just I don't want to talk about horses all the time. So there's a lot of good with people in the country, especially as they get older and they're a little bit more humble, a little bit more kind. But when they're younger, there's a lot of arrogance, unfortunately.
All right.
Hmm.
Our next comment is from at angel_turtle saying Disney should really consider hiring Josh. Would love to see if he can really bring hope back to Star Wars. And I
You
just got to
could
say, I agree.
absolutely bring hope back to Star Wars, Josh. 100%.
I agree. I think I could too. I think I'm the only one who can at this point.
The only one who can.
The only
I
one
think
who
that
can.
is bullshit.
I
But
am the Jesus for Star Wars. Don't take
you are not the
disrespect.
Jesus for Star Wars. There are multiple Jesuses that could be Jesuses for Star Wars. You could do it though, man. But there are other people that could do it too, for sure.
I'm sure there are. I just haven't met any of them.
None of them.
No.
You haven't met another person, not one other person you think could actually do it.
No.
Man, I was just talking about arrogance. Like, look at this guy. Come on. I'm the Jesus of Star Wars. Come on.
Hey, give me the job and I'll prove it.
Okay, let's do it. We'll say everybody sign a petition. We're gonna put a petition out. Replace Kathleen Kennedy and hire Josh and pay
Yeah.
him 60,000 instead of 25 million a year.
It's a pretty good deal for both sides, gotta say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what we got next?
Okay. My first real topic is Primal Hunter Book 2.
Sweet.
We have come to the end of the tutorial.
Heck yeah, we have.
This book sucks in comparison to the first one.
Oh, that's so sad. Why do you say that?
It is so boring.
What are you talking
Like,
about?
genuinely is so boring.
What? Why do you say that? That is
Because it
crazy.
is. It
No,
is.
it's
There's
not. It's
nobody
awesome.
else in the tutorial for him to deal with or worry about. Nothing else going on. It's just him and William. They go along doing their own thing, and he's hunting a boar again, like he did when he first got into the tutorial. And then he he beats the first boss of the three he has to do to fight the king, And the king
Yeah.
is unnamed, unknown, all of the things.
Yeah.
So he's just a name.
Hmm.
And then he comes across William, and you think, okay, the author has been doing such a good job with the fights throughout this series so far. Book one, the fights are great. Here we go. It's over. He just stabs in the heart. One quick move. It's over.
He just blows them apart, and it's awesome.
It's not awesome. Okay. There's a big difference between uh, Kenobi versus Maul in the desert during Rebels. Quick fight. And then there's this boring encounter where the one guy is just overcome with emotion because, back to our conversation before, does he bear responsibility for not sticking around? Versus sociopathic crazy guy
Hmm.
with super cool powers. You have the mixings for such a great fight. And you have one guy walking up to the fight completely arrogant, gets blown out of the water, stabbed in the heart once and dead, and then punched in the face a bunch of times. Boring.
Uh,
Anticlimactic, boring. And
I
then what
know,
does
I,
our
I know it
character
was.
do? He goes off and he starts hunting animals again.
I know that it's anticlimactic, but I didn't have a problem with that. He had powered up so much, and the what he does with the William character, because spoilers, but William gets resurrected.
We
Um,
already know.
okay, I couldn't
We
remember.
immediately go
Um,
into that. And the lizard god says, "You owe me to the god of William," because he takes William.
yeah, and that comes back into play much later on in the books.
You could have
Um,
still had a good fight, though.
but it's awesome. I don't
Could have
even
still had a good
care.
fight and had that same thing
And
happen.
they use it as kind of a PTSD moment for William that leads to very interesting character development. Like really, really good.
You could have still had a good fight and had all of
I
the
think
same things happen.
it's awesome.
Could have had a good fight. And anyway, so then he goes off and he fights a deer.
Okay.
And then he fights, I don't remember what the third is.
The deer fight is really cool. I love the deer fight.
I was so bored.
Really?
Yeah, we're beyond this point in this story. He's already progressed beyond just some animals. Uh, and then he fights the king, and he does the thing that I hate in this kind
Okay.
of stuff. So you have Sword Art. Take a step away and go to anime. Sword Art Online.
Mhm.
I love Sword Art Online. I fully acknowledge that it's cheesy as crap and it's terribly written. But
It
Sword
is.
Art Online, he's in this dungeon. If he dies in the game, he dies in real life. He's leveling up. He's solo leveling. He's doing all these things. And then all of a sudden, there's the boss fight. Big problem I have that the boss fight even happens where it does in season one. But it happens.
Yep.
And then, through his willpower, he denies the stats of the game and his health points going to zero. Like, the computer would care what his will want that he wants to live. What about all those other people who wanted to live and died anyway? So I hate that. And they did that here. They did that exact same thing here, where for no logical reason in a system that's ran by bits, so ones and zeros, that say he's dead, he just says no and lives anyway. And better yet, fights back and kills the king. Stupid, stupid, stupid writing.
So I kind of agree. They do give more and more information about his bloodline, and his bloodline is a little bit of a MacGuffin bullshit type of a thing. It is. But you learn more about it, and the bloodline aspect develops as it goes along. So when I first read that, I was okay with the way it ended because we knew his bloodline's really strong. It works with this idea of being a primal hunter. He lets go of something in himself to become more of an animalistic nature, which they're developing as it goes along, and it's an interesting development. but I did still have kind of a issue with it. There's another fight that's later in the series where I think they honestly take it too far. I didn't have that problem with the king. There's another one where it's kind of like that's pretty freaking overpowered, but
But they already
it
went too
didn't
far
ruin the
with the
series for
king.
me. What?
They already took it too far with the king.
Okay,
Right? The
I
author
didn't.
established he's out of mana. His mana reads 0 out of
Yes,
10,000. His
yes,
stamina is 0 out of 10,000. And his health
yes,
points are 0 out of 10,000.
and he wills himself to live.
And he wills himself to live, right? Like, I understand that in this universe that there's some conversion that can happen between the one and the other.
Yeah,
And
but he's
we're
zero
establishing
everywhere.
that there's a light even after death, right? Jacob can sense a light even after death. I understand that that can happen, but he's 0, 0, 0. So there's no converting anything to anything. And he
His
just like uses the mana around him to tie himself together, to hold him into one piece so that he can survive. No, you're dead, dude. You are dead, and nobody's around to resurrect you. You died. Game
game
over.
over. So you would have liked it if it was like I'm really low in health, stamina, and all of that, and then he ties into his bloodline, and that connects him to the energy that's around him.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
in the second one, he also ties into the energy around him and the abilities that are very very interesting, and it adds to your knowledge of his bloodline in a very interesting way. But it's also insanely powerful.
Right.
Um, but then he's not completely at zero.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because that
Fair
is
enough.
my problem. That's my problem with Sword Art Online is that he will like it shows his health points trying to hit 0, but it won't hit 0. Right? That's against the rules of the universe that they've established.
And it breaks the
Right? It
canon that you
breaks the canon. It breaks
part
the
of.
rules that they've established that everybody has to live by. Right?
But part of the bloodline, I don't know if you know this yet, but bloodlines are something that's outside of the system, so it
Right.
actually breaks system metrics. And there are
Yeah.
other bloodlines in the series that do
Yeah.
break normal system
Yeah.
abilities.
But like, there's a difference between breaking the system and the way it normally functions and
And breaking
outright
it in a way that doesn't
disobeying the
make
rules
sense.
of the world, right? 0 health points is 0 health points. That would
Does
be
he get
like me as a magic caster, right? And I use up all my managing magic fighting Conlan because he's such a good kickboxer in MMA. It takes all of my I keep using shield like I use up all my magic. And then you come to punch me in the face and I somehow will myself to create another shield to survive myself. You'd be
you're
like,
out of
that's
the
stupid. That
resource? It's gone.
you don't have the resource to do that. That's stupid,
Does
right?
it says he goes completely to zero? I honestly can't remember.
Yeah,
Okay. That's too bad.
yeah. Says it goes completely to 0 with all of his stats. It specifically calls each of them out as 0. Right? There's no vague like, oh well, maybe he had some mana left and he was converting it, or which I still wouldn't love if you had to like give an excuse in your own head as to why this makes sense. But like, there's no vague like his bloodline is causing a conversion of some kind.
It just
It's
doesn't
just
work.
he's at 0. It doesn't work. He should be dead, but he just wills himself not to die and kills the king.
Did you like the fight up to that point?
It was the most interesting part about book 2.
Okay.
I loved the king's backstory.
Very cool.
It was very cool. It was nice to get a little touch of like who this character is that isn't gonna matter. Supposedly,
He does.
probably won't matter, but
He does. Like a lot, actually.
okay.
But And that's an interesting. I do some interesting stuff with that too. What you're saying is fair. It's fair. I was not as bugged by it as you are, but what you're saying, I can see where you're coming from. It's fair.
I would
The rest
assume
of the book I really really liked, and I think the fight with the deer is freaking awesome.
it's fun.
But
I
sure,
think I would be more okay with it if I was more interested in the rest of the book.
okay.
But I was bored and then I got irritated at the choice.
At the end, so you have this
Right. So,
board, and it leads up to something that is utterly disappointing to you.
yeah. Right. And I haven't finished book 2. Um right now they're introducing the rest of the what's going on, right? You just finished the tutorial where we've introduced ourselves to a number of new characters. And I am getting very excited about these characters, to be clear.
Good.
So this whole book is not a waste. The series is not a waste. I'm just saying, book 1,
You
despite its flaws, got me highly interested and I was super motivated based on character choices and everything that was going on.
mhm.
And book 2, I didn't care so far. Like,
That's too bad, man.
there
Honestly,
is
that's
no
too
much
bad.
character choice. It's, oh look, he just spent 2 weeks training with Lizard Man. And by the way, I don't even get to know what he and Lizard Man talked about because the quote from the book is, "We talked about what's to come." Great. So in this book where you've established I'm following just your point of view, I don't get your point of view all of the sudden.
And you want the point of view.
I wanted the point of view. I've been dying to know what the freak this is. Right? Is it a TV show like Dungeon Crawler Carl? Is it like, why does this exist? Why is it happening? What's the motivation for it to be happening? Is there going to be like a chat mechanic? Is there going to, like, what is this Lord thing that he has now? What are the responsibilities that come with that? Our character knows. We don't know.
The Lord thing, I don't think he knows yet, but
Probably not the Lord thing, but
I don't think
like,
so.
there's a lot of stuff that
There's
they've
some
obviously
information
talked
that you
about
don't know how you don't
that
have.
I didn't get to be a part of.
That I
I
don't
don't know
think
why.
that's a thing that happens later on, but I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah. So like, it's not a terrible book. I
But
know I'm
just
pretty negative.
utterly disappointing compared to book 1
Book
for
1
you.
was just fantastic, and I was highly motivated. Like, I went through book 1 within
Mhm.
a couple of days, and I was so excited to talk about it.
Yeah,
I've been listening to book 2 since and still haven't finished it.
that's
Like,
too
I'm
bad.
3/4 of the way through it because I'm enjoying it. It's good, right? The deer
But
fight
it's
really
not
isn't that
great.
terrible. It just feels like we've moved beyond fighting regular animals, right? Like, it's not like he's fighting some demon or some like monster. He's fighting a deer. And yeah, it's a white deer and his antlers glow. But so
But
what?
moon magic, and he literally poisons the moon. It's so badass. It's so good. It's so good.
No, he poisons the water for the badgers, not the deer.
No, he poisons there's the 5 pools, and he's the moonlight is connecting to the 5 pools, and he poisons one of the pools to poison the moon.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's badass. It's awesome.
Yeah, sure. Anyway,
The badgers I thought was kind of the weakest main fight of that book for me. The badgers was kind of like whatever. Um, the deer one was my favorite. I love the deer fight. I thought the deer fight was sweet.
so did the king. I don't know what else to tell you. It's
That's fair, man. I hope you like it continuing going forward. There are other times where he fights animals. I like the fights. I think they're great. There's one where he fights a termite king, and it's freaking sweet. But I hope you like it. It might not be for you, and that's okay. But I hope you get to like it more. I really do.
well, I want them to be moving forward, and I want more going on. And I don't want to spend 6 chapters on him studying alchemy and how he's put into a vat of poisons and how he fights to open his mouth so he can take on more.
I thought
That
that
could
was
be a
awesome.
sentence. It did not need to be 6 chapters.
I thought it was so cool. I was like, I love this character development. I love the ability development that's going on right now. I like that everything is survival and a fight against the world that's around you. And even in a vat of poison, I will continue to fight. I thought it was badass and awesome.
I hope it gets back to where book 1 was. That's what I gotta say. I
I
hope it
hope
gets back to that.
I hope so for you too. I do. I'm
And I think it
curious
will,
what you think going forward because now that
because
they're
you're
out of
getting
the
multiple
tutorial,
perspectives now, and they're out of
so
the tutorial.
you'll get more perspectives. You'll get more going on in the world. Like it expands the world a lot. I hope you like it. I will re-listen to book 3 with you, and we can talk about it next week if you can. Do you think you can do that?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Let's do that. Sweet.
Okay.
All right. Let's do my next one. Got Venom: The Last Dance. This should have been a limited series. This was way too fast. Um, I like the first Venom movie. I think it's a highly enjoyable movie. The second movie, I like parts of it, but it's not a very good movie. But there are parts that I like. This one is better than number 2, but still not great. And part of the problem is he ends up in this alternate universe, and then everything just kind of goes really, really quick because it goes really, really quick. And all of a sudden, there's these Venom hunters that are hunting Venom down because he has some bullshit key that unlocks a god that's been locked away for some reason. And so you establish that he has this bullshit key that we've never heard about before. And there's these hunters that we've never heard about before. And it's all of a sudden just like, boom, this is all together where there's no real buildup. One of the good things about Venom as a movie series is the connection between Venom and Eddie Brock. They do a good job of having a dichotomy between the two and having them like riff on each other. And they do a good job in this one too, mostly, but there's times where it feels a little bit shoehorned. And I think that's because they had to go so quickly. So they're just like joke, 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 next event. Joke, 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 next event. Joke, 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 joke. You get what I mean. And they could have given it a little bit more time to breathe, and then the jokes would have landed better instead of just being like bum, 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 bum. They have a family that's going to find out if there's aliens or not, which is honestly probably my favorite part of the entire movie. The family is funny, and they give you some kind of empathy for this story. The family ends up going to Area 51, and that's where everything goes down. That's where Venom's at, all of that. So you have some connection there. You want the family to be protected. So it gives the hero a good message to get behind. But in the meantime, Venom is doing all this stupid stuff. So the Venom hunters can only find Venom when he is in his full costume. All of a sudden, then it turns into like Lord of the Rings. The ring is on, and everybody can find Frodo. Like that doesn't really make sense, but that's the rules. There is a scene that is insanely stupid where Venom Eddie Brock runs into an old friend, and Venom decides to take over and dance to ABBA for some reason. And the Venom hunters find Venom because he is dancing to ABBA, and it is insanely stupid. I don't know why he would do that. You're trying to be down low, but all suddenly it is absolutely worth being found out so that you can dance in a mansion suite, whatever. It felt like they did that because they needed the Venom hunters to find Venom to get him to Area 51 where he could protect the family. And when he protects the family, more and more of these Venom hunters show up. And if Venom is dead, then the hunters can't get this key and they can't unlock the god. So Venom drags all of the Venom hunters into a chemical weapon that kills them all. Venom is dead. Eddie Brock is free of Venom. That's your end of your trilogy. There's good stuff along the way, but that's just not a great story, and it is rushed way too quickly, and it leaves you with kind of an unsatisfied taste that I honestly was hoping for more.
So let's start with giving your rating. So what would
Okay.
you rate the first Venom movie? 1 to 10.
7.4.
And the second one?
7.5. 4.8.
And the third one?
6.
Okay. So still better than mediocre.
Yeah, better than mediocre.
Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 40%. Prime has it as a 6 out of 10. IMDb has it as a 6 out of 10. So it sounds like you're right on with critics.
Yeah, it's a 6 on IMDb. That's
Far
where I
off
would put it.
audience.
Carnage, they have it at a 5.9. It's worse than that. And the first Venom is a 6.6 on IMDb. I think that should be a little bit higher.
Audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is 80% on Last Dance.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't think it's that good. It just has some problems. It could have been better. It's one of the few movies that I genuinely think you could have added a half an hour to.
It's less than 2 hours. It's only an hour
Yeah,
49.
it could have been longer. And honestly, I think it would have been better if it was longer.
So there's a lot of good ideas though.
A lot of good ideas, a lot of good possibilities. They just needed an edit or they needed more time. I genuinely think there's enough here that they could have done a full limited series, like 5 episodes. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
With that, let's go ahead and wrap up our first episode this week. Thank you everybody for watching or listening. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know if we're right or wrong, what we could be doing better, any of the above. Thanks again.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.